Hello, my yarny friends. I'm Sara Sach, and welcome back to another edition of Friday Fun Day. Now, today's thing that we're going to do today, or pattern, is we're going to make this beautiful crochet trim that I added to my pillow. And then I'm going to show you how to make this cover. Now, this is not crocheted. This is the fabric. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now that I ordered in. And what I did is I took a pillow I already had and I made this cover for it. That way I can put it in the wash if I want to. So I made a fabric cover and I have it trimmed with crochet. And I thought this yarn was perfect to go along with all these beautiful colors in this granny square fabric. Now the pillow that I made is a 14 by 14 inch pillow. And so of course I made the cover to fit that pillow. When we do the tutorial on making the pillow that we're going to do in just a second, you can do this tutorial on any size square or rectangle pillow, because the way I teach it to you is so that it is versatile. Okay, I'm going to first show you how to make the trim that we added on here. And I like this particular trim because of the way that it is. It looks beautiful on the front and on the back. Okay, and it's really simple. I'm going to teach you how to make the trim first, and then I'm going to sort of walk you through what I did in order to make my cover for my pillow. And again, you can do this in a very small pillow or you can do it in a big pillow. It doesn't matter. Square or rectangle. Now, you can make a round pillow and use a similar technique, but it's a little bit different because, of course, of all the curves in a circle or oval or something that's shaped different. All right, so this is basically a pillow that is either square or rectangle that has four corners. All right? All righty. Now, I do have on my blog a complete tutorial for the crochet trim and how to make the pillow with lots of pictures. And we'll be using a lot of those same pictures on the video today, but sometimes it's nice to have that blog to go and look at. So you can find that link for the blog as usual down in the notes underneath this video. All right, so to make the pillow cover, I'm using this 14-inch pillow that I already have on hand. Now you can purchase what's called a pillow form in any size square. You can make one just by taking fabric, cutting out two 15-inch squares, stuffing it, and, making your own pillow form if you want to. But my goal here is just to take a pillow that I already have and recover it. And this is a 14 by 14 inch pillow. All right. And so then you're going to need some fabric. And the amount of fabric, of course, depends on the pillow. So to make a cover for my 14-inch pillow, I need to have three 15 by 15 inch squares. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But again, the size pillow that you're going to make depends on how much fabric that you need. Now this fabric, I've talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It is a duck cloth. It's 100% cotton. I purchased it from Hobby Lobby. I ordered it online and they got it here in like 3 days. Of course, I live here in Oklahoma City, so it came really quick. If you're looking for this particular fabric. It looks like yarn because it's granny squares. Okay, but if you're looking for this particular fabric, that's where I got it from. But it is a duck cloth, so you could probably get it at any place that sells fabric. Just make sure you ask for the duck cloth granny squares. I went to my local Hobby Lobby. They did not have it in stock, and that's why I ordered it online. Okay, now you are also going to need some yarn, and I'm using this yarn here. This is Red Heart Super Saver Stripes. And I wanted this one because it has all the bright colors, but it also has black going through it. and I thought it worked really good with this having that black background. Okay, and to make our trim with our yarn, this is a medium weight number 4. You can use any medium weight number 4 yarn that you want to. You can even use cotton if you want, whatever you have on hand. And we're going to be stitching that with an eye hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Okay, and I've got 2 pairs of scissors here because I like to cut my yarn with the smaller pair, and then I got my fabric scissors. These came together in a set, actually. They're both Fiskars. I've had these for over 25 years, so yeah. Okay, you're going to need some needles for weaving in your ends on your trim, and then of course you're going to need some pins because we're going to be sewing. We'll have to pin some things together. But one tool that's really important in this project is your tape measure, because we're going to be making sure that we make a long enough trim to fit around the 4 edges of our pillow. And then of course you have to measure your 3 squares to fit your pillow. All right? All right. Now, if you're going to sew this by hand, you're going to need needle and thread that matches the fabric that you're using. If you're going to sew it on the machine like I did, of course you need to have yarn, or not yarn, thread. I've always got yarn on the brain. You're going to need thread in your machine for your thread and bobbin that match. And I went with black just because I think that's the main color, and it worked out really well. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make our trim, our crochet trim for the edge of our pillow. Okay, or our pillow cover, I should say. All right, so I've got my yarn here. I'm going to use this yellow. It goes into the black, but I think there's enough here where we can show you without it getting too dark on camera. Okay, so that's a really simple way to do the trim. Now, I'm making a pillow that is 14 by 14. That means I have 4 sides of my pillow that are 14 inches. So 14 times 4 is 56. So I need to make a trim that is 56 inches long. Okay, now, one thing we need to remember when stitching a trim and adding it to fabric is that it is going to be a little bit stretchy. So keep that in mind as we go along, okay? We've got our eye hook, 5.5 millimeter. We're going to begin with our slip knot. And we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. What this is going to be is a foundation double crochet row with picot stitches, okay? So we'll yarn over, we'll go in that 4th chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, and only go through that first loop. Now we'll yarn over, go through the next 2, yarn over, and go through the next 2. Our chain 3 counts as 1, and we stitched 1. So now we'll yarn over, we'll go through those loops that we made for our chain, go through the first one, yarn over, go through the next 2, yarn over, and go through the next 2. And so what we're doing when we do a foundation row is we're doing our chain row and our double crochet at the same time. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to slip stitch in the top, going through both loops of that previous double crochet. Now we made our picot, and we want it to stand up tall. That's why we chained 4. All right, so now we're going to yarn over, go in that chain that we made from that previous double crochet, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first one, yarn over, go through the next 2, yarn over, and go through the next 2. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And see how that looks? Now we're going to make another one of those tall picot stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch in the top of that previous double crochet. And then we go to the chain that we made of that same previous double crochet, and we start our next stitch, and we do 1, 2, and 3. And this is the repeat for our trim. This needs to be nice and tall because it has to go in between the layers of the edge of our pillow form. Because we're going to sew that when we sew the edge of our pillow form. So that needs to stand up tall, and then we have those nice tall picot stitches. Okay? Let's do it again just so we can make sure. We've got 3 double crochets, chain 4, slip stitch in those top 2 loops of that previous double crochet, and then we stitch in the chain that we made from that previous double crochet. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And that's the way that the trim is made. Sometimes we stitch looser, sometimes we stitch tighter, and this particular stitch has a little bit of stretch to it. And so what you're going to need to do is measure it and make sure that you do the length that you need. But also keep in mind that it is a little bit stretchy. So what I recommend is you stitch the length that you need, but leave it attached to your skein or ball of yarn or whatever yarn that you're using until we're ready to put it on the pillow or in the tuck in into the pillow to sew in place. That way, if you need to take some stitches out or you need to add some, you have that option by leaving it attached to the yarn. Okay, so our repeat is 3 foundation double crochets, picot, and repeat for the length that you need. And make sure when you end on 3 foundation double crochets. If it ends up that you need to take a stitch or 2 out, it's okay if you don't have 3 at the end. I'm just saying it helps with things smoothing along. All right, so that's how we make our trim and make it the length that you need for the pillow that you're making. So before we can add that trim, of course, we have to cut out and prepare our pieces. So you're going to need to cut 3 pieces that are 1 inch bigger than your pillow. In other words, I made a 14 by 14 inch pillow cover. And so I cut 3 pieces that are 15 by 15 inches because we need a front, and then on the back we need 2 pieces in order to make this 2 sides in order to make it so we can slide the pillow in and out. Okay, so you need to cut 3 pieces that are 1 inch bigger on the sides. In other words, I made a 14-inch pillow, so I cut 3 15-inch squares. Next, you need to take those 2 pieces you're using for the back. You need to grab it. It's real important when working with fabric that you use an iron and an ironing board. And what you're going to do is you're going to take those 2 pieces, you're going to fold them in thirds, just third down, and then you'll tuck that under, which makes this flap here, and iron that in place. Okay, and then you're going to stitch that on your sewing machine or by hand, because that will form a hem so that we have the sides hemmed up. And then you're going to want to lay that in place with your front. And you're going to do this with the wrong sides facing out. So put your square down for your front with the wrong side out. This is the right side. So let me take this and turn it wrong side out so that you understand what I'm saying. All right, so I flipped it over to the wrong side out, and what you want to do is lay the front piece wrong side out, then lay your 2 pieces and line them up so that it's a nice square. And then don't pin it in place yet, because the next thing that you need to do is line up your trim. Okay, and let's see. I started in this corner, and you're going to put your trim in with the right side that wants to be seen on the inside, and grab your pins and pin it in place. Put your trim in between your layers and pin it in place. And it's real important to pin here as well, because you don't want that to get off kilter, because this is where you're going to slide your pillow in. Okay, so pin it all the way around the sides and sew it in place. Once you've stitched it all the way around the side, if you're stitching by hand, I suggest doing 2 rows of stitching. I always do a row of zigzag around the edge. Okay? And then once that's done, you're done. And you can flip this out, and you've got this beautiful pillow cover that will fit your pillow. Now, if your corners will not pop out nice and crisp, you've got too much fabric here, you can cut that across, because it won't fray because you've stitched it, and that'll help your corner stick out and be a lot crisper. I forgot to tell you that. All right, so I'm going to flip it back to the front side and slide my pillow form in, and I'm making sure my corners are pushed out. And this is a really simple way to make a pillow. Even if you don't want to add the crochet trim, it's really simple. All right, now, it's like putting a letter in an envelope. You're just going to slide your pillow in. And it's going to be a little bit of a tight fit, because remember, we only had that inch to work with for the trim. And then we just take the other one and slip that in. Now, I did not add any buttons or Velcro or anything to it to keep it closed at all. To me, I think it stays nice and secure. You can if you want to. You could add some little Velcro in here. I just didn't need it. You could add a buttonhole and a button. I didn't want to do that. But now I have this gorgeous pillow. It looks like granny squares, and it's got a crochet trim. And I think this yarn is just perfect with all those colors that goes along with this. Okay, so I have a beautiful 14-inch pillow cover that'll fit any of my 14-inch pillows, and a great way to make a pillow for any size that's a square or a rectangle. Isn't it beautiful? It's super easy, super fun, and like I say, I love to say super. All right. And so that's our granny square fabric with our crochet trim pillow. One thing I did want to mention is if you just want to make a pillow, you don't want to make the envelope opening in the back, you can do it all the same. Just make 2 squares, put your trim in and add it. Just leave an opening so you can slide your pillow form or stuffing inside and then stitch that closed. All right, you don't have to make it a pillow cover, but I love to be able to reuse a pillow I already have and make something new and beautiful out of it.